And there are faces with hunger paling, for the road may be weary and hard to tread, and the lights of our city blind you. Won't you turn away to Erin's green shore, and the one that is never olden? A storm of rain in the evening's mist, over mountain and meadow is falling. Won't you turn away from the throng and the list, and maybe you'll hear me calling, for the sound of a voice that is sorely missed, for somebody's speedy returning. Aroon, Aroon, won't you come back soon to the one that will always love you?
Great industrial cities like London, Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, Coventry, Salisbury, Bristol, Cardiff, Sheffield, all of these cities claimed Clare immigrants over the last century and a half, and they brought their music, song and dance with them. We think especially about the great extended Clare community in Manchester, Birmingham and of course London. We think especially of the great West Clare fiddle player Bobby Casey, the West Clare flute player PJ Chroi, and the Kilmachle flute player Paddy Breen, the McCarthys, Tommy McCarthy, who went to London for a week and stayed 40 years. It's our very, very great pleasure now to introduce one of the great Clare figureheads, the great druidic figures of Clare music, whose family have shepherded Clare music for more than a century. Would you welcome, please, to the stage Clare Egan and especially our great patriarch of Clare in London, Brendan Mulcair.
Hello. Are you there? Can't see you. I just wanted to play this little set there myself in memory of a Ennis man who was from Cheoil, Sean Reid, and I was delighted this evening to meet his three daughters. Sean, his son, I meet up with at the girls. And they were very special to our family and all the years growing up. Sean would come out of the house and he had these, should we say, set of pipes. And we were on our rugs and on the floor looking at them and watching them, assembling them and trying to get them to play. And it was like shaking hands with an octopus. The tune that I remember he used to play was called, what did I call it again? The West Wind. Clare doesn't want to play it, but
Ladies and gentlemen, and Brendan will care, as we all know, we're here because of people like Brendan's father, and we know the great work that Brendan has done for so many years in London, keeping the Clare flag and the Clare musical tradition very much alive. We're going to remember the other great Clare performers in the 1940s, 50s, the 60s in London with a set of reels. The first one is the Courtauld of the Kelp, which of course is associated with Bobby Casey. The second tune is associated with Paddy Breen from H'allmhuráin, and Paddy was a great flute player, a tune called Tommy O'Dee's Reel. Tommy O'Dee was from Chroi, and one of the great stories told about Tommy was that he was very proud of his orchard. But of course, one particularly bad year came and Tommy had no apples. So he went into Rush and bought 2 big bags of apples and got up very late at night and went out into the orchard and attached all the apples to the trees. And the following morning went around and called in all his neighbours to admire his orchard. So that was Tommy O'Dee. And we finish off with that great tune called Craig's Pipes. that, you know, Clare actually managed to persuade Brendan to change his flight from London so he could be here with us this evening. We're very grateful for that. Well, we know, of course, that Clare people faced west across the great Atlantic Ocean. By the end of the 16th and early 17th century, Ireland, it was once on the edge of the old world, was now on the edge of the new. It was the last port of call for fishing fleets and sailing cargoes crossing the Atlantic to Newfoundland. One of the great Clare poets of the 18th century, Dr Geraldine Cotter, who was born in Chroi but spent most of his life living in the Dacia district of County Waterford, made the journey to Newfoundland. He left with the other young wintermen, as they were known, who left to fish for 2 seasons and spend the winter in hAllmhuráin, the land of the fish. He stayed longer than 1 winter, and he was extremely lonesome like he was in Newfoundland. And he wrote one of his great poems of exile and immigration, a poem called Edel Vaughan. Edel Vaughan, the hero is ever. Edel Vaughan, Edel Ó. An old nor even being Cahain. Mar how queen a gael, she was the mile again. O Vaughan, Edel Ó. Bin bara bog slím queen Edel Vaughan Edel Ó. Is as far on Kirsha di gach sléitán Vaughan Edel Ó. The board the Gweelte is the year grey, is the blow mar eel moilen geig. Tol grón she Imminton hain, go on, Edel Ó. Is farshin is as mori grúpa na Aidan, bon Edel Ó. A chud mala, gus últer glúiseach na Spreagtha bháin Edel Ó. Eimear nos lúm a híal don talamh bheag cuairt sin is dúil a gael, is go Hanrahan, ná dúis ba wishlech lé, bheith bháin Edel Ó. Is oscailte fáilteach an áid sin éire, bháin Edel Ó. Agus tarar na sláinte I mór na Dacia, I mán Edel Ó. Be vinne ná méire héidir Cheoil, sinnim, agus géanach a lís a mó, agus tanamh na gréine orb, éiste is óg bháin Edel Ó. Centuries after Donnchadh spent time in hAllmhuráin, the land of the fish, other Clare people followed him into the Canadian interior, travelling down around the icebergs in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, down the Great River, past Quebec City, into Montreal, and further down into Ontario and across the great Canadian wilderness. And among the places that Clare people settled, Quebec, rural Ontario, the Ottawa Valley, and all these places settled before the Great Famine came to Ireland. Our next piece of music comes from Quebec, and it's our great pleasure to welcome our dancer, James Devine, who's going to give you an example of the old style step dancing that still survives among the Irish communities in the Ottawa Valley, in the far northwestern side of the great Canadian province. We'll start with a tune from Quebec called Le Rêve du Quai du Tremblay. This is what we call in Quebec un morceau tortu, a crooked tune, with uneven numbers of bars. And then we'll play for you a tune that's well known in Canada. In Quebec, it's known as Rille du Louvrier, the Workers' Reel. In Ontario, it's called Walker Street. In Ireland, it's known as the Traveller. And we'll finish with the great Quebecois tune called St. Anne's Reel. This is the national anthem of traditional music in Quebec. James Devine giving us an example of the kind of traditional step dancing that still survives in the Ottawa Valley, which is outside the city of Ottawa, way into what we describe as the Valley, a place of separation, a third space in Canada, a place where Irish culture has survived and thrived so far away from our native shores. Of course, by 1840, the Irish population was larger than it ever had been in the past. And with the 1840s came the tragedy of 1845 and the tragedy of our Great Famine, the greatest of a long number of famines to come to Ireland since the mid-18th century. By 1847, Clare became, I hate to use this expression, but the poster child of famine and dislocation. The images of Clare published in the London Illustrated News towards the end of the 1840s become the image that people have of famine, dislocation, exile, and above all, deprivation. And to remember these years of hunger and these years in which we lost 1 million people to starvation and another 1 million people to the immigrant ship, I want to invite Edel to come and sing for us Thomas Madigan's great ballad, Lone Shanakyle. Thomas Madigan was a West Clare poet who spent time in the United States, and he anticipated the Fenian Rising with this song. And we'll close out this suite with a dirge version of the great jig, The Ships in Full Sail. Let's welcome Edel.
Far, far from the eye of the holy and grand, where the wild oxen fatten and brave men are banned, all lonely and lone in a far distant land, do I wander and pine for golden, lonely and sad I roam far o'er the sacred home, where the wild waves surging foams headlands appearing, clouded in silver spray, flashing through heaven's bright rays, for thy glory and bright, lovely Eden. Sweet, sweet Inishkaig, the sacred and blessed, fit place for a saint and a warrior's rest. Your sentinel towers left each story breast. Your morning waves wail for dear kin. There is nothing now left, dear Ireland, but thy name, a ruin of thy glory. desire.